no problem. Okay, now I have a mic. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's better. There has been a lot of 5G mentioned today at the sessions, in different sessions, but what we would like to leave you with is that 5G is part of our modernization journey. And we have started 5G in 2016. And if you're interested in more details, we can give you the proofs of that. When we introduce the cloud, when we start defining these architectural principles. So that's why we believe that we have a better understanding when, how, and what we need to do in our time to come when it comes to actually deploying and commercializing 5G capabilities. The second message that we would like to leave, it is the value-driven. And we, Sigma mentioned three-way approach. We call first tool that Sigma mentioned is organic, which is primarily driven based on the capacity requirements because efficiency is the key differentiator of the 5G, continue to drive efficiency. And the second one is improve customer experience. That's why we see now fixed wireless access being one of the key use case. I would use the word use case when it comes to deployment of the 5G, because that's where we are able to validate and judge the value out of the 5G. The second track is more opportunistic, which is a business development. Why are we saying like that? The fact is that even though we were saying that we are connecting the people across the globe with all the telcos in the world, we haven't been actively participating in modernizing the industries and societies. And 5G is enabling that. And that's why you heard 11 basically pilots being run in Norway. In totality, we are having 17 plus 6 with the WINI European initiative, where we are really trying to learn where are those potentials and where we, as a telco and service provider, should engage with the societies, with the industry to develop the business verticals. The third message which we would like to as well leave with you when it comes to the 5G, we strongly believe that this approach that we are taking, and we are using global way of work, create together and explore together with the ecosystem, with the partners being suppliers, be the industry players, collaborating with our peers as well, and with the regulatory and authorities, is what will take us to the next level. Some points, data points of that, and this is reflecting 2020 on each of those points. So you heard already we are 87, we are targeting to be more than 90% traffic on our cloud platform. Today we have launched 8% of our 110,000 base station on 5G. We believe that we will reach approximately 27, in the upper part of 20 will be 5G enabled. And we said 84% of the 4G, 5G. This is extremely important on the spectrum efficiency. Today, we have 72% of all our spectrum assets being leveraged by 4G and 5G. By the end of 2020, we will cross 80%. And for the ones that listen in London, we said by 2020, we will be 80%. We believe we will cross that ambition now. When it comes to the stepwise approach, and we will demonstrate that to you. We see the benefits of the 5G, and it's an early steps of the 5G. It's like 4G in 2010. So we see 30% efficiency gains as we speak today. So technology will evolve because we do believe we will get 3 to 5 times more benefits out of the 5G, but not now. It will come with the deployment of the massive MIMO in the acceleration in different technology, and that will take time as well for the equipment to mature. And we see both in Finland, we commercially launched, and we see the feedback from the customers there. We have 80 fixed wireless access on 5G, 3,000 enhanced mobile broadband customers in Finland, commercial in our network. We can learn a lot, and as well from the pilots that we are doing in Norway. We said it's a 6 market, it's 17 pilots. We are leading the European initiative together with the 23 partners. It is the partners from the industry, the vendors, in order to understand and see what will it take, what is that next for the 5G. How that convergence between technologies will happen, how are we able to maximize the value of the 5G. What we would like, it's a complicated slide, and that's not the intent that you remember this. But what we want to explain is that to be successful on the 5G, we need to take a holistic end-to-end approach. It doesn't work if the devices are not ready. It doesn't work if we are not able to basically enable our cloud platform to deliver the 5G services to the full extent. And we are talking about the private network, we are talking about the emergency network. As long as we do not have slicing, that will not work. So there are a lot of dependencies till we come to really realizing and maximizing the value of the 5G. But what is important for us, and usually we have impression when you're asking about the 5G that most of the questions are coming in this box. It's a radio access, because it is a fact, it drives the biggest investments. It's a fact. So we are talking between 30 to 50% of our investment going in that box compared to the others, because we have managed by moving to the cloud to keep this box only to 6% of our capex. However, if you look at where we have come today, already said spectrum, we are pushing as much as possible spectrum to be used on the most advanced technology. Why? So that we can extract the most traffic and we can support the good quality services to the customers. At the same time, we are building and modernizing. You heard Sigve that we have launched in Finland. We will do that in Norway. As we speak, there is a modernization of the network on the RAN, radio access part, ongoing in Sweden, and we will do the same in Thailand and in Malaysia. So it's a massive work being done, and that is all within this CapEx frame guidance that is being done. Yes, yes, I have two more slides, and then I will leave the time for the questions. But this is what we want you to in a way, remember from this slide. And we like to show the examples and learnings, because we are a learning organization. So if you look at both in Norway, different performances, and that is because of the maturity and the different equipment that we are applying, but as well we are measuring how far we have come when it comes to the commercial launch. So we see that we can get 1 GB per second, which is fantastic. We see that we can get latency, but still it's not what we are expecting as the end result. So it's going to come quite a lot for us going forward in order to reach where we would like to be. We talked about the learnings, and those learnings are primarily coming from the actual use cases, be it commercial or the one that we are implementing to learn, both on the technology deployment and on the business opportunities. And these 11 use cases that you heard from Norway, they're all related to the business opportunities. At the same time, in 2018 and 19, we were learning a lot about the technology itself. And from the commercial launch, we are as well learning quite a bit. You see that in Asia, we are as well quite active. In some markets, the countries are taking a digital agenda as their priorities, where we are working with the regulator in order to basically advance their views and what and how 5G should be launched. And they're inviting us and other players to actively participate in that. At the same time, we want to be in the front run when it comes to the technology development and influencing what is the best technical solution for us. That's why we have been awarded in 2018 to lead this 5INI initiative from the Europe, where 23 partners are actively participating. I will leave it there and then open for the questions. Yes.
Is it possible to have a sort of kind of timeline when you're going to implement 5G core into various countries?
Okay. So what you see here, it's basically whole Asia is now ready for the 5G. So it's just basically the next release, which we are planning, and it's the choices that we need to make. And as we speak, whole Nordic is working on deploying the cloud core capabilities. So it is, in a way, 2020, 2021 that we are planning to enable full, I believe what you are asking, 5G capable, so that we can do the slicing and it can do the quality and service differentiation.
Yes.
Kubernetes on the top. Yes, yeah. Standalone, yeah, okay, now you're talking standalone. That's not core. Okay, let me now, you want to, on the RAN, on the...
I thought that if you're going to implement 5G standalone, that means that you implement a 5G core
Absolutely,
solution.
absolutely, yeah. So basically, we will launch 5G with our cloud, hybrid cloud capabilities. So there is no limitation for that. So where it comes, the limitation is when we want, for example, to introduce the network slicing. Basically the dedicated, the same quality or differentiated quality of the services versus the others. And that is more relevant to the business and use cases that we were talking about, new verticals opportunities. The standalone, we don't expect that will be required before 2021 from the business perspective. But I answer back your question, we are ready. So we have already basically embarked on, and whole Asia is already covered, and Scandinavia will be, and Nordic, including Finland, they're launching the same platform in 2020. So it is basically in the same time period that we will be able to serve that.
Yeah, so you're able to, but you don't have a timeline as of now.
We do. We do have a timeline. Yes, and I said it is 2021.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Please, in the plenary session, you had a nice slide with the implied fall in production cost per gigabyte in the network. And on one of your previous slides here, you showed a 30% improvement in spectrum efficiency compared to 4G when deploying basically the same spectrum with 5G technology. How should we think about what other factors are impacting your production cost apart from that 30% when you...
Okay, happy that you asked that question because at this point of time we see the 30% because we are basically deploying the same type of the site configuration, 4G and 5G. But when we start deploying the massive MIMO and that we go of the 64 by 64 modulation, we will see this 5 times effectiveness. So that is with the 3.5 gig band, C band. Exactly. So that is what we are saying, that's next.
But is there any other parts, I mean, with the terminals or with the slicing, other parts of that bigger picture that are also impacting your production cost as you modernize?
Each of those will, of course, impact, right? So that's why we are saying that our modernization is modernizing every part of the value chain, right? So we already believe are equipped when it comes to the core part, because we had transferred to, and we will continue, back to your question, when do you stop? Because we will continue now to invest in the Kubernetes so that we get the slicing capabilities. But we have done the major lift and shift when it comes to the traffic of the data and the voice. We will continue to work on the radio access modernization, which is going to prepare ourselves to serve for the 5G and to drive both when it comes more traffic with the new modernized technology, but as well more efficient. Because the 5G energy efficiency is better per bit. And that will as well help us further optimize our OpEx. And there are a lot of more RAN radio access functionalities that will enable us to optimize the energy. And as we mentioned, we are, as we speak today, piloting with the partners different cognitive platforms that are really more intelligently trying to capture when do we need to have a site on, still not jeopardizing the quality of the experience, not the speed, but that they can literally, it's called soft locking. You basically lock the capabilities on the site, and we actually got these results, what we shown, it is on 4G, and we got 27% energy savings. So it can go as much as the profile and traffic can allow you to do.
And just lastly, you mentioned sunsetting of 3G in Norway. I mean, what's the timeline there? And do you have an ambition to be world's first to do that?
End of year. I'm not sure if we are supposed it's technology, so we were left with 8 base stations. So we are almost 0, so that's why we are not declaring. It is a part of our whole network modernization, both the copper and the mobile. And if I'm not mistaken, we are now 7, so we are reducing, but we just want to basically replace the connectivity because it was serving some part of the very remote of Norway. But in all technical and practical terms, we have sunset it already, if I can say. But we are not declaring publicly. We believe we are, particularly in Europe. We are working quite diligently when it comes to the sunsetting 2G in Thailand. Today we have only 2 megahertz which is allocated to Thailand for the 2G. We don't believe that is basically a future for the whole industry, so we are actively participating in that area.
Sorry, just before you ask a question, we have now a 5-minute break, and then the next breakout session starts in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So you can continue in the break if you'd like.
Right.
Sure.
Sorry, I missed the first part of your presentation, but I don't know if you touched on this, but some operators are, like Swisscom, for instance, have clear plans to introduce 5G also in existing bands and avoid refarming by using a dynamic spectrum sharing. Now that could be a bit more difficult with perhaps in Norway and Sweden, where you have this 4G on one vendor and 5G on another vendor partly. Or do you, will you also introduce 4G, 5G from Ericsson, for instance, in Norway, so that you are able to do that? So my question is basically aiming at whether or not you would be able to kind of smoothly introduce 5G to give that, perhaps not full 5G experience, but at least the perception of being, on 5G in a wider area and in a smooth way. And that also goes for Thailand, actually, where you might have, you will probably have a better network in the 2.3 than your competition have on 5G potentially, when you have rolled out the Massive MIMO there. But then you won't, it will still be called 4G potentially, So would you be able to use DSS there as well to kind of, it's a marketing thing basically also.
Yeah. If I understand you correctly, we are as well challenging or asking us, will we do the overlayer with the 5G so that you in a way separate the legacy with the new technology? That was one of the questions as well.
Yeah, so you can actually introduce just 5G in the existing bands, for instance, in the 1800.
Yeah.
Dynamically just to introduce
Yeah.
that as needed.
Yeah.
Depending on the handsets being present at the individual sector level.
Yeah. So just, and this was a discussion. We haven't touched like that, but we discussed standalone and non-standalone. You're all aware that today it's non-standalone. So we need to have an anchor band on the 4G, right? And we definitely, our ambition is, and that's why we are stressing that we refarm all our spectrum to be served from the 5G when it comes and readiness for that come. By dynamic spectrum allocation or even in 4G, we have that, some of the vendors have that functionality. It's not only Ericsson now talking about the new 5G enabled technology. We have tested one of these test cases in Trondheim and actually up in Bodø. We tested the overlayer, so it works. It works, so you can have basically vendor agnostic, the same like for the 4G. As you know, of course, it's a TDD in Thailand, but we have as an overlayer on our FDD capabilities. So our ambition is, first of all, to have both low and mid and high band. So just to be clear on the 5G. So 700 is definitely a 5G as well band for us, both for Thailand or for the Norway or the whole Telenor portfolio. Then it will come this 3.5 C-band, which we believe will be the real 5G experience. And then we would like to try out the millimeter wave, just to understand to what extent, which use cases we will be able to maximize the value out of it, and more in a way like more fixed wireless access type activities and getting the learnings from the industry. And by the time we are able to shift the customers and traffic from the mid-band, that's our ambition. So that's the reason and that we are tracking how much of our spectrum today is being used on the most advanced technologies. So today we are 72%, and we are aiming to move to 84. I showed it on the previous slide, basically by the end of 2020. And we would like to be more than 90, 95 when it comes to 2023. So this is how we are trying to shift that.
Next round of breakouts start now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.